As part of that today, President Cyril Ramaphosa signing the National Prosecuting Authority Amendment Bill into law, along with the other law that we've been talking about. The NPA says that the National Prosecuting Authority Amendment Bill is the first step towards gaining resources that will see the further prioritisation of high-profile crime. Newzroom Afrika's Karinda Jagmohan reports.
Let's speak about the importance of the first bill signed today regarding the National Council of GBV and how this impacts the NPA.
I think what this will help us do is to coordinate better in terms of trying to achieve this, any kind of reduction in sexual and gender-based violence in this country. It's impossible for any entity to deal with it on their own. And as prosecutors and investigators, the police, we come in at the tail end when the offences are already committed. So it's really important that there is strong coordination mechanisms to ensure that up front we're able to try to prevent these atrocities from happening before we get involved. And so we hope that with this new bill coming into force, amongst many other things, it's going to help us better coordinate, be more strategic about how we focus on the right things, and at the end of the day try to prevent this from happening as opposed to relying on law enforcement. Because the reality is, notwithstanding the fact that we have really high conviction rates, between 75%, we have really long sentences that the courts are imposing daily, every day. There are long sentences of 30, 35 years, life sentences being imposed for sexual and gender-based violence, femicide. It's not resulting in a commensurate reduction in the scourge. So we've got to really look at what are the root causes and then really try to attack it there so that the men of our country can really get more involved in trying to ensure that this doesn't happen in the first place, and then we can perhaps try to in some way reduce the incidence of sexual and gender-based violence. But at this point, the numbers are shockingly high, and the trauma that women and children go through is just too terrible to even contemplate, and we're not really getting to grips with it as a country. So this is really going to help us to try to better understand it and really prevent, rather than relying on law enforcement that comes in after the fact.
Those preventative measures are crucial. Now your department is being assisted with that permanent structure of the IDAC, essentially, against corruption. Why was this critical for you in terms of getting more resource and independency?
Well, let me say that the creation of this independent directorate against corruption is a huge, let me say, first step towards us dealing more effectively with corruption in this country. It's really important here and now in that the IDAC, or well, the investigating directorate as it existed, was unable, it didn't have critical criminal investigative powers, police powers. And because it was, in a sense, a temporary, it could have been, by proclamation ended at any point. We were not able to have a permanent structure and really recruit all of the different types of disciplines that we need. So with a permanent entity, we're able to really capacitate a permanent structure. We're able to work with business to support in creating, as the President said, digital data analytical forensic capability. So all of these put together are going to be absolute game changers in terms of being able to quickly deal with corruption. But I hasten to add that we are now going to focus in the coming months with the resourcing. And so it's not like today the bill is in place and tomorrow everything's in place to happen. But it's certainly a hugely important first step. There are broader reform issues relating to the NPA that need to be addressed. And I'm sure some of the political parties will raise this, or civil society, saying that this is not sufficient. But I want to say that's why I say it's a first step. So there are broader reforms that the minister has committed to, introducing into Parliament a bill by 2025 January that will deal with a range of broader reforms in the NPA, including the issue of strengthening the financial and operational independence of the NPA, and all of that will actually assist in ensuring that the NPA and the ID has the necessary financial and operational independence as well to really be more effective in terms of delivering on our mandate.